Hi everyone and welcome to another episode of Beardy Reviews. I've got my trusty Jake with me this time around.
How's it going, everyone?
And this week we're going to be talking about Captain America Civil War. Full disclosure, this has massive spoilers in it, so if you haven't seen Captain America, don't do it. Go away, leave right now.
Pause this, go see Captain America,
and then come back.
Full on spoilers into this. Like, we're going to tell you everyone that dies.
Don't say that! Let's start off by talking about the plot. What did you think about the premise? What did you think about the approach that they have to each side? Where do you stand?
Where do I
is
stand?
The question.
Now, before the movie came out, I've always been Team Iron Man. But then with all the promotion coming up and up, at the end of it I was like, you know what? I don't know whose side I'm on. You saw both points.
That's a great thing. That's one thing that they pulled off brilliantly, was presenting each point and kind of letting the audience choose by themselves.
Exactly. And for people who are extreme fans of the comic, I'll tell you right now, this is not a comic adaptation.
It's got its little influences.
It's little
obviously.
Flavours in there, of course.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean it's a bad thing. For me, it's one of Marvel's best films.
Yeah, I'll say it right now. I think it's right there in my top 3. This time it worked. It was different, but it worked.
But Marvel have such a good record of doing that. They just say, let's use a bit of this, use a bit of that, and they stay true to the comics as much as they can. But the most important job, as I've always said, is make a great movie. I
think one thing that they do very well is the characters. They make their own story, but the characters stay very, very much
exactly.
like
And there's so many characters in this movie. Everyone was going on about this is basically going to be Avengers 2.5. But this film does an amazing job of giving each character their moment, but at the same time, it still feels like a Cap film. It's Captain America's story. Like, you could watch the Captain America trilogy on its own.
Yeah, absolutely. And it would still be a great film.
And it's still incredible.
It's an Avengers film without being an Avengers film.
Exactly. That's what I thought. Like, let's go into some of the new characters.
Yeah.
My personal favorite, and I know your favorite as well.
Yeah, T'Challa,
man, the King of Wakanda.
It was one of the best character developments I've ever seen, in terms of him just being very aggressive and emotional. And then towards the end, you see him become like, okay, I need to make my decisions based on wisdom and based on the greater good kind of thing.
It's one of those last lines he says. I'm done with vengeance controlling me.
Yeah,
I thought that was so good. And for Scarlet Witch, I think she doesn't really know. She was like, all these people have just died because of me.
She doesn't really know how to deal with it, kind of.
Exactly. And then you go to the other side of the coin where we get Vision. Now, Vision is all about logic. There is no emotion with this guy because he's an android.
There's a little bit of introduction of like him starting to deal with emotion. Exactly. Like he doesn't really. I love that. Yeah, I love that bit when he's trying to cheer her up and he doesn't know how to, and he's just kind of like
pinch of paprika.
I don't know what that means. Like he's just kind of struggling with it, but I think that's beautiful.
I thought it was good. I also love the fact that you saw the beginning to start to do that.
Yeah, I think that they will develop it into a bit of something a bit more romantic, but not to the point of we're getting married.
But yeah, so Vision was all about logic. He just thinks of everything as a mathematical equation, and he clearly sees the best option is to sign this accord.
Yeah.
And do it. And then we get to the other characters. I mean, what do you think of like the Cap's team and where they were with this accord?
I understand Cap's view because he has that kind of like old school idea of freedom, because he sees this as a way of restricting the way that they can help people, and I can kind of get behind that actually. What if hundreds of people die to save billions of people?
Yeah.
And it's just like it sucks that happens. If it happens, it's because the villains are making this happen. Like if they weren't here, we wouldn't be here. Exactly. But then again, it plays into that whole what you said about Vision. That Vision says, well, actually, it's the other way around. Yeah, like I said, it's really hard to choose sides because they're so well presented.
Obviously, Falcon's reasons is he Cap's one of best friends. Like he's gonna stick with him.
They're both soldiers. They understand what it is like to be subjugated to superiors and having their actions restricted. So they understand that. They know that that's not the best way to go about it.
And of course, we get to the one we've all been waiting for:
Spidey.
Spider-Man's back.
Oh my God.
Is he back with a bang?
I feel like they finally brought him back home. They've couldn't do anything about it, but now we can, so let's fix it. He's not too much of like a loser that like nobody talks to him and whatever.
But at the same time, he seems a bit shy.
Yeah, but he's not too cool. He's a good representation of what it's like to be a teenager, realistically.
Exactly, and the way they introduced him was
Oh,
perfect.
so good.
Tony Stark going to his house in Queens and meeting Aunt May. She's
pretty hot.
Pretty hot for
I like it that they made her a bit younger. I was like, yeah, it makes sense.
It makes sense.
I don't have a problem with it.
And they play with it when Robert Downey Jr. says, and your aunt is strangely very attractive.
Yeah.
So I just thought that whole scene, him in his bedroom,
I love the back and forth between them as well.
There's such great chemistry.
Absolutely.
And he's showing him all the technology and stuff, and he's just saying, you need an upgrade, and we just know he's going to give him the suit and stuff, and it's just so happy to see. And then when we finally see that suit,
it's so good.
I remember a lot of backlash when the trailer came out, and people about the costume. It kind of looks weird. The costume looks kind of a bit weird animated. Tell you what, you don't even think about it in the movie.
It doesn't even.
He comes and you're like, oh my god!
And the visuals in this are so good. Like I said in the blog post before this video, you can barely tell the difference between CG and practical effects because they blend so well together.
Exactly. It's just the visuals are so good. And we have got to talk about that airport scene. Airport, okay? You will be grinning from here to here for an entire 17 minutes. It's so good. Everything,
you get to see the characters interact with each, so they're not just fighting. I love it when Hawkeye goes like, I don't think we've met. I'm Hawkeye, and he's like,
I don't care.
I don't care. I think T'Challa has the best lines in this film.
I think he has some of the best dialogue. He says and Chadwick Boseman, he plays him to a T, like the sheer power in the way he delivers his lines.
The voice, the accent, everything.
Everything. It's just his body language as well. Yeah. And that airport scene it just shows off every character and what they can do. We're gonna go to Ant-Man when he turns into Giant Man.
I think Scott Lang was as excited as we were to see Giant Man.
He was like, whoa. We're gonna go to the villain now, because this villain is basically the whole reason for Civil War.
Absolutely.
Because near the end of the film, all the characters that were on Tony's side start realizing, we were duped.
They did change the premise of why they're fighting a little bit by introducing Zemo and by introducing how he's orchestrating everything. But it's still a battle of ideals.
And even at the end of the film, Rhodes, he still says, I still believe in the Accords. I still think we should sign them.
Yeah.
Even though he found out that this was all Zemo's plan.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about Zemo's plan for a bit. That was so good. The fact that his backstory was that his family had died in Sokovia, and he realizes that I can't beat the Avengers
because so many others have tried and not succeeded.
People better than me, more powerful than me, tried and failed. But if I could, destroy them from the inside, great. And that was just.
It says I want to watch an empire fall.
Exactly, man. It was just great. All the character motivation, his motivation, it all blended in so well. Unlike another movie that came out earlier this year.
No, let's not get into that.
That made you care for these characters, understand every single point of it, and at the end of it, still go, I don't know. Then we get to the final fight, which was just unbelievable. That fight between Cap, Winter Soldier, and Iron Man was just so good.
Not only the fighting sequence, like the choreography of the fighting was unbelievable. Not only that, but just the intensity of it and the way it was filmed and everything. At one point, I genuinely found myself screaming, "No, stop!" at a certain bit where Cap just loses it, doesn't stop hitting Tony, and I was like, no, oh my god, no! What do you think, actually? What do you think is going to be different from now on? How is this film impacted?
Okay, well, so we see from the film that, Ant-Man, Scarlet Witch, Falcon, and who's the other one in general? And Hawkeye. So they're all in prison, and we see that, Cap's breaking them out.
Yeah.
So I believe that they're gonna go undercover for a bit, sort of lay low.
So
maybe Secret Avengers,
yeah.
Secret Wars could be a possibility in the future. I don't know, because Marvel are pretty stacked up. Tony, I see him stepping down from Iron Man. Maybe not completely, but just sort of taking a break from the whole going into the field sort of thing. I think he's still going to be involved with the Avengers and obviously the whole Marvel universe, but more of a father/mentor figure for Peter Parker.
For Peter Parker,
Spider-Man.
yeah.
And because it's confirmed that Robert Downey Jr. is coming out in the Spider-Man movie next year.
Excited about it.
So for me, it makes sense that he's just gonna sort of play that role, because obviously Spider-Man's still just a kid.
Oh, obviously, he needs to be taught.
He needs
how to be a hero.
And Black Panther has got Winter Soldier in the Wakanda jungle,
which could play into
the Black Panther movie. We don't know. Black Panther movie won't be out till 2018, and until Black Panther, we don't actually get any of the core Avengers movie. The Avengers, it looks like to me, are taking a break until Black Panther, which possibly Winter Soldier. I don't know. I think he'll definitely be back for Infinity War.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
From Age of Ultron, we saw the Andy Serkis character, Claw.
Yeah.
I'm safely assuming Andy Serkis will reprise his role as Claw for the Black Panther movie. Go see this film. This is an incredible film.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm just going to say right now, my final rating is a 9 out of 10.
9 beards?
9 beards, 10 beards.
I'm gonna give it a 9.5. Not only because it was a great film, but I grew up with Spider-Man. He was one of my top 4 comic book characters. With the first scene that he was in, I was just there like, oh god.
You just get emotional.
I got so, because I was like, this is it. Thank you for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoyed it. Go and check out some more of our other videos. Thank you so much for coming on to the show.
It's always a pleasure to be here.
Don't forget to check out our blog, beardyreviews.com, and we'll see you next time. Bye! Bye.